guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. I am so happy you found us. Today we are talking decoupage, but not boring, you know what you're doing decoupage. I'm going to throw some new ideas at you and give you some examples, maybe decoupage ideas you haven't thought of yet. So let's just jump right in and get okay. So what I wanted to talk about first was what we all know as decoupage. And that, let me move some of this out of the way. Okay. And what we all know as decoupage is using mostly napkins, or if you get decoupage material from Tim Holtz, he has some, and I'm sure other people do too. You can use that as decoupage, and we put it on things like cardboard. We put it on paper as a backdrop right here, and you know, it's a card. We put it on book pages to decorate them like that. We put it on other types of paper too, this napkin on this green stamp page. So we add napkins to a lot of different things, tags and whatever, to make stuff prettier, give it more interest, and that kind of thing. But this is the decoupage that we all know. And we add it with either decoupage or Mod Podge, which they're basically the same things. But I want to give you some new and different materials that you can decoupage and things you can decoupage on, just not tags, pages, journaling cards, and that sort of thing. So first, let's start with some different materials that you can use to decoupage. And I've pulled a bunch. Let me get them all back over here. And one, of course, we all glue book pages down, but have you thought about decoupaging with them? Works great, and it's a good base as we use them, but it can also be a star when you focus them in the right way. So book pages, definitely. Did you know doilies make a great item to decoupage? And I will show you an example of this in just a second. Tissue paper is a great decoupage medium that you might not have thought about. Handmade papers that you can buy at specialty stationery stores or other places that sell it. Michael's, Hobby Lobby, that sort of thing. This can make a great decoupage material. You put it on a tag and then you go back and see these lines in this. If you paint those with watercolor, they're going to be darker than the surrounding because they are slightly raised. And it makes a really cool decoupaged effect. So that's a good tip. If you find these papers, I found this at the Japanese dollar store. You can also find them in other places that sell origami papers because they're thin. They make great decoupage materials. Pictures from magazines. If they're thin and not thick papered magazines, they make great decoupage materials. And lastly, bags. This bag is a thin type bag, and you tear it and decoupage it onto a tag, a journaling card, or whatever. It makes a great decoupaged background. So the idea here is to look for materials that are super, super thin. Those are what makes the best decoupage materials. Okay, and remember I told you about the magazine image and the, where'd it go? And the doily. I'm going to show you an example of that. So this is an example of a doily and a picture out of a magazine being decoupaged onto a tag. And it's really a cool look, as you can see. So, but that's using a tag, and we all have done tags. Like I said, journaling cards, pages, cardboard. I mean, those are things that we tend to decoupage just automatically and probably don't even think about it anymore. So I wanted to give you some ideas for some other items that you can decoupage, and I'm going to do a few so you can see how they turn out. The first item that I would suggest trying to decoupage, if you haven't, is clear plastic packaging. And it's going to look really cool when you decoupage on one side and you look at it. It's going to be like looking out a window. It would make a really great pocket in a journal. It would make a great part of a mixed media piece. Anything you want to use it for. Another great item to decoupage is die cuts. These look so much more alive. They have more texture if you decoupage on them versus painting or markers, watercolors, whatever. Another thing are tags or tickets, whether it's milk tickets or, you know, if you have old Admit One tickets. I know it's not in focus there. Anyway, tickets make a great item to decoupage as well. And finally, using vellum. And here's just a piece of vellum cut into a rectangle tag. But vellum also is a cool thing that you might not think to decoupage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decoupage these items. I'm going to use a couple of my not common decoupage materials so you can see those. And I'm going to use a few napkins because I want you to get the overall feel. And this is fun. And the first one I'm going to do is the die cut shape. And the reason I want to talk about this is because when you decoupage onto a shape like a flower or an animal or whatever, you want to make sure what you're decoupaging on it fits. Because this is kind of small, I want to make sure that I'm getting enough of the pattern that I'm decoupaging on so you can tell what it is. So because this pattern is small and it's close together, I thought decoupaging this napkin on this flower would look really good and stand out. So let's get started. And I know we all know how to decoupage, so I'm just going to do it really fast. Alright, while this dries, I'm going to set it aside for a few minutes. And I'm going to move to our next item that I'd like to decoupage that's kind of different. And that's going to be our clear plastic. And we're going to make like a window. And because I love gardening, as everybody that's watched any of my shows on my channel know, so I thought I would use, for this one, I'm going to use this vegetable napkin and just decoupage it on real fast. And remember, when you're picking what you want to decoupage on, you know, pick the image you want so you make sure you get, if you go to all the trouble to spread all the glue, make sure you get the image you want, definitely. And I'm going to flip this over and display it opposite. So I'm going to make sure I lay the glass down on the part that I want to be showing on the other side, if that makes sense. This is fun. It's going to give you a neat look. You don't see a lot of windows. So I'm going to flip this over. Then I can see what I want to get on here. So I'm just going to put this on there. And then I'm going to push it down. And then I'm going to pick it up and flip it over. And I'm going to coat this side with the decoupage. Because in decoupage, that's what you do. You coat both sides. Okay, now for the next one, I am actually going to use a different type of decoupage medium. I'm going to use my doily and decoupage it onto my little vellum tag here. And with the vellum, you can do it underneath if you want a muted effect, or you can do it on top and then proceed to layer some more. I'm just going to do the doily just so you can see what it will look like once it's dry. And then I'm just going to come back and decoupage it down. Okay, and we're going to let that dry and then we'll trim it up. Because this is how I decoupage. I decoupage everything, let it dry, then I go back and trim it down. Okay, next is one of these tags. I might just go ahead and do them all. It's going to be easier. And for this one, I thought it would be fun to use my tissue paper. And my tissue paper is from ThredUp because I like to do thrifting. And with the pandemic, I hadn't been doing out going out and thrifting. And yeah, but this isn't sponsored by any means. And I know there are some issues with ThredUp as far as like when they say they save you so much and they don't, and that is a problem, and I caught on to that early. So, it's always good to make sure something is right for you and just not take, if you see your favorite YouTuber advertising it, remember they're getting paid for that advertisement. So just be aware. Okay, and then there is that one, and you can still see the writing underneath, which is why tissue paper is like very, very much like tissue paper is very, very much like napkins. Okay, I'm going to close this up because I'm not going to need any more. I'm going to dry all the decoupage real fast. And when I decoupage something, I like to tear it off because I like the rough edges. If you like to scissor it off, by all means, I always say these videos are just to give you ideas. You always have to do you on there. But look how cool the doily looks. Great, great, great medium to decoupage with. Now let's grab our flower. Okay, and this one I am going to trim with scissors because I want the flower die cut to hold as much of the pattern as possible. So, and there's my flower, and look how pretty. See what picking the right size pattern for a die cut does. It adds a lot of dimension, a lot of interest. Sorry, it was upside down. It looks almost like that blue willow china, sort of, in that one. I'm excited. I always save my napkin except for the teeny tiny bits. I do have a video about how to use up small bits of napkin. I'll link it above. And then there's that under the glass. How cool is that? Looks like you're looking out of a window into like a terrarium. So very cool. You could do this with a fish napkin, and have like you're looking into an aquarium. Just great ideas for plastic pieces. And then, was that it? Oh, no. Our tags right here. Now this one I'm going to tear because if some of it tears off, I'm fine. I don't want it to all tear off, but if little scraps tear off, that's good. And those came out really good as well. I hope you enjoyed this video giving you different ideas of materials that you could use to decoupage, like our little doily or our tissue paper, using pictures out of magazines, anything thin enough you can decoupage with. I hope you also like seeing different mediums to decoupage on, like our die cut flowers, our clear packaging that looks like you're looking out of a window. I hope you enjoyed all these great ideas. Thanks for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.